Hello, and welcome to Unsheathed with your hosts, Kyell Gold and Cam Hirosaki. We hope that you enjoy the program. Please stick around afterwards. There'll be cake and blowjobs.
Hi, everybody. Yes.
Yes, nice accessories. Kit gave us up.
Yes. We decided we're in our Halloween costumes of Gay Fox and Otter.
I'm going to be daring and go as myself for Halloween. Once again,
Cool.
We're broadcasting during Monday Night Football, so and it's the home team playing right now. They just scored a touchdown
It is.
and an extra point.
Woo Niners. Hoping they can build on the success of the local baseball team.
Yeah. Depending on what sport we're talking about, I'm either rooting for the Giants or against the Giants. One set of Giants I really like. The other one I have a racial enmity towards.
So welcome to Unsheathed live stream number 8.
Yeah.
Yes. Lucky number 8. Wait.
Yeah, well, it is in China.
Yes.
It is, in fact, lucky number 8.
So we haven't done this in a couple weeks, I think.
It has been a couple of weeks.
I've been kind of away at OklaCon.
And then Sam's internet for a bit. And
Oh yeah, we were without internet for like a week. But part of that week we were at OklaCon, so we were only actually without internet for like 4 days.
longer than anyone should have to be without internet.
In this day and age.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I was at OklaCon, which was my first time. OklaCon is an outdoor camping convention, for those of you unfamiliar with it. They had about 324 people.
Wow, really? Is that big?
Which is pretty big.
Wow.
They're actually the largest group to hold an event at Romano State Park in Oklahoma, and they take up a good portion of the park's facilities. And well, a lot of the folks I'd met through Furry Fiesta. So like the board of OklaCon is I'm going to leave somebody out. I know I am.
It happens.
Jared Fox? No, there's a Fox name that starts with a J.
Some Fox name that starts with a J.
I know, that's terrible. Someone out there who has internet, maybe tell me who it is. But, I've just been writing a story with a guy named Jasper, so of course that's all I can think about right now, even though he wasn't a Fox.
It's not Jadinklage Morgoon.
No.
Or Leo's Maxwell Gilliams.
No.
Those are all J names.
Nor is it Joquita Lafondria. Anyway, and Blue Otter and Horses, Ghost, and Wolf are all also on the board, and Cody, I think, is the fifth one. Anyway, they're super great guys, and they really treated us right. They put us up in a cabin. They got us a little gift basket of stuff. They have this really awesome OklaCon book. Did I show you the OklaCon book?
You did show me the OklaCon book. It's actually, I was really impressed by the production quality
It's
on it.
super nice.
Yeah.
It's like the last all 10 con books of OklaCon compiled into one big hardcover book, which Fur Planet did for them, I think. Fuzz works with those guys a lot. It's very chill. My first day there, I had there was a panel I wanted to attend. Was it a writer's meet and greet? I think it was a writer's meet and greet. And then there was opening ceremonies. And then I had a panel I was giving, and then another one I wanted to attend, and then another one I was giving. And when I was done with the day, everybody told me, "You're doing this wrong. You're only supposed to go to like one panel a day." So it was cool. The weather was gorgeous. I mean, it was actually hot. It was probably 75, 80 degrees one of the days. And we did a fair bit of walk-in because they've built this new lodge, which is like a big hotel on the grounds. And so some of the events take place in the lodge. But the lodge is about a mile from the main campsite. So we were walking along the roads and back and forth and whatnot. But they had a cool super sponsor event. I think one of the highlights for me, actually, the super sponsor lunch was really good. And all those little events were cool. And the panels were fun. And it was great just chilling. But one of the fun times that I had was I actually played in the poker tournament, and they put a bounty on me, so like whoever knocked me out of the tournament got an extra prize or something. But one of the guys who was playing, and I tweeted a picture of it, was in this blue fox fursuit. His name was Kit Blue, and he did a very entertaining character. He had a movable muzzle, so he would talk, and he was actually a good poker player, but he put on this kind of little, like, naive, innocent persona that made everybody just laugh and presumably lose concentration. But he was very entertaining and a lot of fun. And we had a professional dealer who had been a real casino dealer for many years before he retired and had actually dealt.
Were they a furry or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He had actually dealt in one of the World Series of Poker in like
cool.
08 or something. And I only remember his name as Mike, although because he told me his furry name later, but that one didn't stick.
J. Random Fox.
Yeah, no, it was funny. But then later, he and his boyfriend were at the same table, and we were during a break. I asked how they met, and the boyfriend kind of was like, "Well, it was kind of partly because of your books."
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and he had told me the story at Furry Fiesta, and I kind of recognized him, but I didn't connect that story back with him until he had told it, and then I was like, "Why did that story sound familiar?" And I'm like, "Oh, you told me that at Furry Fiesta." But yeah, it was one of those. I won't tell the whole story, but basically he like stayed up all night reading my books, and then the next night his friend at the time happened to text him, and he thought, there might be something here, and so they started talking, and so that was kind of cool. And just in general, Oklahoma is in that area is super pretty. Kyell and I were amused by the billboards going through Oklahoma.
Oh yes, the sex slavery billboard.
Yeah, there's a sex slavery in big letters, and then next to it in about half-size letters it says stop. And there's a picture of a girl, and beside that in big letters it's she's 13. And, and it's sex trafficking.
Oh, sex trafficking.
It was like stop sex trafficking. It's here.
She's 13.
She's 13. And there's a phone number. And I thought, wow, that's pretty bold. You're just putting it right up there.
The Oklahoma State Police must be really bad at their jobs.
And Kyell saw the bill. We saw them too later. But there were these big billboards that just said meth. And then underneath it in tiny letters, it was like destroys lives. But it was pretty amusing. It was like, welcome to Oklahoma, meth. So, yeah, Oklahoma was funny.
Man, I don't want to say I want to watch Winter's Bone again. I think it was more
I thought you were going to say
watching.
I thought you were going to say, man, now I want some meth. So anyway, OklaCon, if you're in the area, if you like sort of a camping con, it seems like a good place to go with some friends, and you can pitch a tent and hang out in your tent. You can rent an A-frame and sleep in one of those, or you can stay in one of the cabins or the lodge if you want more luxurious accommodations. Less rustic, I guess. But all great people. I mean, the staff was awesome. The attendees were all really cool, and it was just it was a ton of fun. And my co-GOH there was an artist called Ugly Little Monster, who was super sweet and really talented. She did a little drawing for us and did the cover of the OklaCon con book, which I can actually show you guys because this is live.
Ooh, that's right.
I'm going to slide it in front.
We have Vidget.
Yeah, I'm going to slide it in front of the...
in front of...
There we go.
Our pretty snaps.
So, the theme of the con was, it came from Planet X.
You seem to have impressed the chat room. Everyone's all like, ooh.
If you want to know what that thing is, you have to read the story I wrote in there, because she gave me the characters and said, it would be cool if we could write a story, or if you could do a story about these. And so the name of my story in the comic book is, I have to get this right, The Thing That Came After the Creature That Battled the Monster from the Cypress Swamp.
That's right. It makes my stories like cheerful.
Yes. Actually, there is someone eating brain meats in it, isn't there?
Yes. Which, I mean, hey.
So, woo. Anyway, so that's where I was last weekend. This past weekend we had Halloween, kinda.
Kinda.
Yeah.
It was Halloween, like when it's in the middle of the week, is just kind of weird because you don't want to do a party on the weekend after Halloween because then the holiday's already over.
Right. Then you have to do like an All Saints party and all dress up as a different saint.
Ooh.
Like I'll be Saint Sebastian with all the arrows and.
I was trying to imagine like which of my friends I want dressed up as which saints. Like, oh look, we have like Saint Francis of Assisi, and like
everybody wants. All furries want to be Saint Francis.
Well, I mean, I guess it's better than. See, like, any of the jokes I want to make rely on, like, spending 16 or 17 years growing up Catholic and, like, all this weird, like, religious nerdery that, like, people be like, who? And so
I mostly know Saint Sebastian from, like, art galleries.
Well, yeah.
To be honest.
Saint SlenderMan.
Don't do that. So, yeah, other than that, lots of exciting stuff going on. I've been fielding questions from Blotch Daily regarding whose eye color is what and what people are wearing and so on. And the pictures that I've seen from Out of Position 3 look absolutely amazing, as per usual, as you would suspect they would.
I've seen sketches from half of Blotch.
Yes.
Mostly.
And I've seen cover works in progress. So we're working on the cover, and when the cover is done, we will post something about it with the title of the book. So that's going to happen sometime in November, probably before Midwest Fur Fest. Definitely before I leave for Australia.
See, Australia.
Which is another thing that is happening soon. Anyway, so yeah, Out of Position 3 is going on, Mid-Fur is going on. I don't expect there's any Aussie furs on right now, considering it's like lunchtime for them. Lunchtime tomorrow. But
it's definitely tomorrow.
Oh, there is an Aussie fur on. There's a dingo.
I was going to say, I think just because somebody's a dingo doesn't necessarily mean they're Australian. I think that's...
But when a dingo says, you just reminded me to register for Mid-Fur, that probably means
yeah.
he is.
And as it turns out, you're right, he is an Aussie.
Woohoo! See?
Or sorry, an Aussie. I'm saying
Aussie.
I'm saying an all-American.
That's fine. You are American.
Well, hey, you know, when I go to Canada, I start speaking Canadian.
Anyway, Sofa is doing a cool thing.
Also, don't say Canberra. That will give you away as a
Canberra.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I don't expect to have to talk about the capital very much.
Much like in California, the capital is just kind of there.
Yeah.
And nobody ever really wants to go there and talk about it.
What's the capital of West Virginia?
Oh, god damn it. West Virginia. I'm drawing a total blank.
I'm pretty sure...
Let
me see.
West Richmond.
West Richmond.
That's hilarious. Thank you, Ratsby. Oh, see, now you've got Kyell on the inner tubes.
It is in fact Charleston.
Yes. Because I've been to Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes.
Which is actually a nicer place than I would have thought, but I perhaps don't really feel the need to return. Also, a bunch of my friends ordered clam chowder, and I had to warn them that it wasn't what they were thinking it was going to be. And I was right, and they were wrong, and nobody wanted to eat it. And I'm like, well, it serves you right for not listening to me.
Yeah, so the funny thing about that is I at one point did know all the capitals of all the states, and I remember thinking I wasn't aware that there was another city in West Virginia besides Wheeling.
I know there's Wheeling, Illinois, where they used to have Midwest Fur Fest, which made my roommate feel at home because he's from Buffalo, and it sort of reminded him of that. It was all cold and gray and desolate and empty.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a very good city. Anyhow. No, I was just amused because there's a commercial out now where they're like, "And what's the capital of West Virginia?" And the mom's like, "Charleston." I was like, I thought that was in South Carolina.
But the capital of South Carolina is it Columbia? No. What's it called?
I think it is Columbia.
Yeah. Man, we're like, welcome to grade school.
I know, right? Yeah, it's Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny because when you Google, like, South Carolina capital city,
Oh, wow.
comes up with the name of the city. Yeah, just right there.
Thank you for using the Google and not just making yourself look like an idiot.
Right. So, anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, anyway, so what I was going to say was SoFolf is doing a cool thing to Jinto Dingo and any other Aussies who might be around. If you want to order some of my books, SoFolf is letting you pre-order them for exorbitantly low shipping costs.
Does that work?
Yes.
Do you have exorbitantly low?
Well, considering, like, to send I know some of our Canadian friends have complained that, like, for shipping one $20 book to Canada, it's almost another $20 to ship.
Oh, wow.
And I think Australia is probably around that. But
well, that's why they have their own Canadian distributor now.
SoFolf is sending some books to Australia, but the shipping, they're going to have to mark them up slightly to account for shipping. So I think the markup in Australia is about $3, but if you pre-order them on the site, you can get them for just $1.50 over cover price. So that is a cool thing. Does being a fox make you more clever than KM? I don't think I want to say that in public on the show.
I said no. You being smarter than me does.
Maybe me being smart makes me a fox.
Man, that just calls everything into question about me and my identity issues.
So yeah, I guess we're into.
Oh well, we quote about it, but Cloud Atlas.
Oh yeah.
We need to talk about Cloud Atlas at least a little bit.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead, since I've been talking this whole time?
Okay. So I remember. Wow, what was it originally, like 4 years ago or so, when they announced that like the Cloud Atlas movie was going to be a thing? And my first thought was, how would you film that? And apparently they put a lot of thought into that and came up with a pretty unique answer. And,
yes, which some people like and some people don't.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the reviewers that don't like it, they seem to be really, like, just kind of angry for, like, no reason. Like, I think they want to resent the movie for some reason. I mean, I really liked it. I thought that they did a really good job in both making it, in taking it and putting it on the big screen in a way that made sense while still being faithful to the original material.
Yeah, I agree, and I actually agree with you that the way they intercut the stories works a lot better in the movie. I think the way Mitchell did it in the book is better for the book.
Oh yeah. If you tried to do that in book form, it would have been a lot harder to follow because they have visual cues that let you follow it in the movie.
And in the movie, you can immediately be like, oh, we're back in this story. But I agree with you that I think doing it that way works better. Although actually, I did see one reviewer say that they didn't like that they thought they should have stuck to the way the books did it.
Yeah, I disagree. Like, especially when coming to like the first two chapters and then having to wait for most of a 3-hour movie to get to have them come back around again.
Yeah, I don't know that would have worked as well. Yeah. And this way they were able to build tension through all the stories around the same time. So you got to feel that they were all building to a climax at the right point in the movie. It felt more like a traditional movie instead of having part of a build-up and then part of another build-up and then, a resolution and then another resolution and then another resolution. And just, the way it worked in the book was good because you could kind of compartmentalize the stories, but that doesn't work as well in the movie.
But yeah, I was very happy with it. I definitely want to see it again before it leaves theaters, just because I think it.
Oh come on, you British people got James Bond like 2 weeks early.
Yeah, and I think that James Bond is more British than David Mitchell.
Yeah, considering David Mitchell lived in Japan for a long time.
Yeah, he's all expat. That means that's when you lose your, your like holding place on the thing. And
Yeah.
yes, he's still English. We know.
But anyway, yeah, it was good.
I'm still an otter, and that just means I can get into the Monterey Aquarium for free.
That would be cool, though.
That would be cool, actually.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with Sparf on the Harry Potter thing. Especially, actually, the fourth movie, which is my least favorite of the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
They cut a whole bunch of stuff that would have really helped the movie hold together better in order to show a 10-minute sequence of dragon flying around.
Oh, yeah. That was kind of a mess in the movie.
Wait, Voldemort dies? Oh, spoilers! Come on, man. Sorry, I'm being silly. Yeah, so they, I don't think there was anything like that in Cloud Atlas. They added some stuff in that made the stories flow well.
Yeah.
They cut out some people that needlessly complicated things.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say needlessly because they served a purpose in the story, but they were able to tell the story without them in a shorter time.
Exactly. Like, I know, at least in the Frobisher and the Song-Me stories, they took characters out.
Yeah. And David Mitchell apparently saw the script and was okay with it.
Yeah.
And liked what they'd done. So
that was
a good
what
thing.
I was... what do we think of the very, very end scene? I don't know if we can really talk about that without going into spoilers. I thought it was
Of Cloud Atlas?
Yeah.
I thought it was
a neat addition.
I thought it was a good addition in that it allowed... It kind of allowed... Where the book was left very open-ended...
Yeah.
The movie allowed for more resolution, which, in a way, you could say was a little disappointing because the way the book ends is very sort of upbeat and I don't know about upbeat. It's very invigorating.
Yeah.
The way the movie ends gives you some more of like closure of a story, where you feel less like this is something we still all have to pay attention to, and more like, oh, this is a story that has already happened. But I thought it was a pretty good, inventive way to close out the story.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for sure.
I agree. I'm reading Spark's question.
Is it really a question?
Oh, about the Harry Potter movies
again.
still.
Yeah.
I thought actually the third movie was pretty magical of Harry Potter.
Yeah, I like the third one. I like the fifth one.
And the fifth one I thought was still well done. But, I mean, you have to remember, too, that the books also became less magical as they went along. That whole wonderment of the world that you're talking about that was in the first couple movies was also in the first 2 or 3... Actually, it was in the first 4 books. And the end of the fourth book is really where it turned from a place of wonder to a world that you're growing up in.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of my problems with the fifth book, which I think is might be the only movie I liked better than the book. My problem with the fifth book is that she spends like the first third or half of the fifth book sort of systematically ripping out all of the fun parts of the world that she spent 4 books getting you to love.
Yeah.
And it's really grim. And it's just tedious, and it's hard. I mean, it's tedious because it doesn't really seem to serve any other purpose. It's just like building up how horrible the villain is and building up how horrible, things are getting for Harry. And
yeah, I think most of the last, I think all of the last 3 books, 5, 6, and 7, I think they're all just really slow to get off the ground.
Yeah, I will say I like 6 the best of those 3. Because I really liked the look into Voldemort's past.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that was good, although there were a lot of, like, side trips into the Department of Backstory that I think could have been condensed.
Yeah, and actually when you... it's funny when you're listening to the books, how some of those narrative things really stand out. Like, in Book 7, there's that whole chapter in the middle of the final battle where it's like, oh, and then we learn Snape's life story.
Yeah.
And when you're reading it, it doesn't stand out as much because you can just be like, okay, skim, 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 skim. Yeah, he was misunderstood. Oh, he did all these noble things. Okay, back to the battle. But man, when you're listening to it as an audiobook, you cannot skim past anything. And that chapter drags. That chapter is, it's a huge red light in the middle of her action scenes, and it's really distracting. Because I remember listening to it and thinking, I've at this point forgotten what all was going on in the battle. Like, there's this big battle going on, and suddenly you're like, oh, and then backstory. So anyway,
do we want to take questions now? We still have a few minutes.
we have like 2 or 3 minutes. I do agree that scene in the movie was pretty well done because it took like 4 minutes and was done in quick flashes of image and scene, which you can do in a movie.
And they were actually really well done scenes, I think.
Yeah, no, I thought they were too.
To get a point, because people are kind of thinking, I'm not saying that we don't have a problem with Snape's backstory. It was the presentation of it and the timing with which it was delivered that made it more awkward.
Yeah,
I mean, it kills the flow of the action that she's been trying to build up.
There's really only one part of that backstory that needed to be told at that particular point in time, and that is Snape's conversation with Dumbledore. All the rest of that could have been scattered throughout the book in other ways. The same way they did with Voldemort's backstory in book 6. She could have figured. I mean, it's magic. You can figure out a way to do it. You know, Harry trying to find out more about Snape, maybe, or something. I don't know. But she could have built it up as a thing so that when you got to that scene, it was a mystery that you'd been thinking about for the whole book, and it would have a lot more impact, as opposed to, hey, Snape's this guy, and oh, now we finally understand everything about him, and blah, info dump. Have you ever read Diane Duane's Young Wizard series? I have not. I've heard good things about Diane Duane. What are you familiar with?
Oh, I mean, like, I've read stuff by Diane Duane that isn't that.
Oh, okay.
She wrote a lot of Star Trek. She was guest of honor at AnthroCon, like, a few years back.
It is something that's kind of vaguely on my radar to check out. What do you like better than Harry Potter about it? Iridescent Dragon. Reveal your secrets.
And field goal Niners. Sorry, I needed to kill the.
No, it's all right.
There was like dead air, so I needed to comment on something.
No, I'm putting him on the spot.
Did I say Niners or Giants?
You said Niners.
Okay, good. Why are we asking them questions? They're supposed to be asking us questions.
Well, because he's recommending a book, and I'm like, okay, I want to know why you're recommending the book. A lot more original. Okay. It's not like magic, where stuff happens for no reason. Okay. So more better plot.
So does anyone have writing questions they want to ask us?
Yeah, we have time for like one. Okay.
Flynn Roush has question.
Flynn Roush has question. Go. Question ask.
Question asking time go.
Iridescent Dragon is continuing saying, Wizard takes an oath to gain magic, but it means they dedicate their lives to fighting evil and death.
Cringeworthy euphemisms that we see in amateur furry fiction that need to die. Didn't we just talk about that in an episode? That was like our episode number 6 of the regular podcast or something. Generally speaking, any if it falls into what we would call jargon,
anything that people use as like furry slang in actual life should not be in stories, in narrative at least. I mean,
because at that point, like you wouldn't have special jargony code words for an in-group when the in-group is now the out-group. If that makes any sense. If anyone knows sociology, that makes sense.
Right.
Well, specifically ones that make each of us cringe. Like, I could have sworn we talked about this at the Rainforest episode.
Maybe. I don't think we did.
Is that up yet? No, it's not.
It is not up yet. Yeah, it's, stuff like, using YIF at all in narrative, as opposed to, you can, technically you can get away with using it in dialogue because people are saying it and you could pass it off as a colloquialism, but it's still something kind of unless you're writing a story about the fandom and about guys who are like, hey, you know, you're feeling yiffy tonight, and then people are like, what does that mean? But to have in narrative something like, oh, then he yiffed the fox really hard is just no. Reggie, that's just wrong.
Threatened him with a banning if he gets that. Mother yiffer.
I do, yeah, that one. I do like WTY though. That would make people sad. Somebody has technology or magic.
Depends on what the story is.
Yeah, depends on the story. I like both.
That's not a binary choice.
I like writing magic better than technology, but I tend to stay away from both, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we mostly write just sort of like normal contemporary stuff.
Yeah, normal fiction.
Although that being said, we both have science fiction and magic stories in our portfolio.
In our oeuvre.
Our oeuvre. You're the one who speaks French.
Well, yeah, but then if I say it in the French accent, it becomes pretentious. Oeuvre. There. So
DJ Dragon puts it that Shadowrun has both. Yes, but Shadowrun is awesome in a way that only Shadowrun can be. Haha, Arizona has -5 rushing yards. Sorry.
I thought you were going to say -5 points, and I was going to be like, how did they do that?
Cerebus became darker, and most say that was for the better. I don't think most people say that about Cerebus. I think most people think that Cerebus kind of went off the rails.
Cerebus being darker might have been for the better, but Cerebus becoming long and tedious and full of his turgid prose was not for the better. Also, Cerebus becoming full of his misogynistic, bizarre, male-centric creative philosophy was not for the better. Although I confess that I stopped reading Cerebus around about issue maybe 100. What did I get up to? I don't know that I made it all the way through Reeds. That was when he was trying to write like F. Scott, I think.
Oh, right.
Which was... Anyway, thank you guys for coming on. And...
Yeah, we have to be a little abrupt. We're on a time schedule tonight.
Yep. We gotta get it going. So we will catch you guys later. We're probably not. Maybe next week. I forget when we fly back. We're flying back on Monday. So. Oh yeah. Last thing. As I pointed out at some point, I will be at stately Sofa Wolf Manor this weekend. So if you guys order things from Sofa Wolf and put in a note asking for them to be signed, I will spend a little time have a little signing party when I'm up there. So, if you want a signed book and can't come to a convention, this is a great place to do it. Watch Twitter. I don't know. We've talked about it, but we haven't set a time. It will be on Twitter. That'll do it for tonight. Thank you guys. We need to get going. We will see you guys all next time. Hopefully next week, maybe the week after, and maybe the week after that. Take care. Be good. Thank you all. Say your goodbyes, Otter.
Oh, goodbye. I have to go now. Now all my friends are leaving me.